an athletic activity requiring skill or physical prowess and often of a competitive nature. Okay, now see, there's the reason why most people don't consider pro wrestling a sport because, and whether they realize it or not, what they think is since it's the ending is predetermined, then that means it's not competitive in nature like a regular, traditional sport would be, or, as far as something that clearly defines what a sport is, which is it being competitive in nature. And people don't see wrestling as competitive in nature because they know that it's cooperative, right? In a lot of ways, they're cooperating together to create something, create drama, tell a story, basically in the ring. But see, that's where people are wrong, and I don't even think a lot of wrestlers even realize this. But the thing is, wrestling is actually competitive. Anyone that actually understands what wrestling is all about, the way people get over, there's so many things that they're competitive about with one another. Obviously, things that they want to be at the top level, they all do, whether they're wrestling each other, friends they know, or whatever. You want to be a good worker, a safe worker, be proficient, and be smooth. Don't botch things, be able to draw the audience in, be charismatic, tell a story, sell. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on, as far as things that they need to be proficient in. And see, as soon as you need to be proficient in something, or the higher level you are proficient in something, as soon as that means that you get paid more money, then it becomes competitive. And that's what every wrestler is with one another. They're all competitive because they're all trying to be as good as possible in order to make as much money as possible. So even if they're best friends work in the ring together, or people that know each other and whatever, and they're, pulling basically stunts together in order to create a big show, a big event, a big match, even though they're working together, they are still competing with one another simultaneously because they're trying to outdo each other, because they're trying to present the best version of themselves. Whether they're winning or losing the match, whatever is predetermined, it doesn't matter. See, the problem is that people compare pro wrestling to regular combat sports, and they think that just because it's not exactly like that, then it's an illegitimate art form or sport, I should say. And they're wrong. It's competitive in a different way that they don't really understand. It's competitive from a performance standpoint. That's really what it is, because the better performers, as in the people that are best on the mic, with promos, like I said, wrestling ability, the people that can get along and best in the back, and not necessarily be able to politic, though of course that has helped people and can, but people can see through that, I think, oftentimes nowadays. So I think what means a lot more now is being a team player, not causing drama in the locker room, different things like that. And see, that's all a competition in a lot of ways. Everyone's competing, everyone's trying to do each other, everyone's trying to be, maybe as much of a team player or whatever, more than the next guy or the next woman. So that's my point, that pro wrestling is a competitive sport. I mean, look, it says right here, athletic activity, yes. Requiring skill or physical prowess, yes. And often of a competitive nature, yes. We've already said it's competitive in a billion different ways, just not in the way that people usually understand, especially with a combat sport. They're thinking, oh, it's only competitive. Pro wrestling can be competitive because it's predetermined. And that's what makes combat sports competitive, not knowing who's going to win, and that either person can win or whatever, or there could be a draw. The point is, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens, and that's the way people look at combat sports, and I get it, makes sense. But with wrestling, it's something completely different. Just because it looks like a combat sport doesn't mean that it is. It's really a performance art. You know, it should be, I think, compared to something more like figure skating, you know, or like dance, you know, competitions, different things like that. I'm not too familiar with all these different types of sports or Olympic games or whatever, but I know there are a lot of that are based on like performance and technique and accuracy, different things like that. So it should really be looked at in that way. And since that's actually what it is, it's a performance art, sport based performance art form. And in that way, it is competitive. It is competitive in nature because they're all trying to outdo each other to move up the card and make more money, get the pay per views, sell merch, get more opportunities, you know, be on TV a lot more. It is very competitive in nature. If it wasn't competitive in nature, then everybody would be getting paid the same, and no matter what they did, you know, it wouldn't make a difference in their pay rate. So, pro wrestling is most certainly competitive, just not in the way that, like I said, people usually think about, especially when thinking about combat sports. But it's completely competitive in a billion other different ways. Then they give examples as racing, baseball, and they actually even include wrestling. But I'm guessing they're probably talking about amateur wrestling here. But anyway, there, that's basically it. As I said, pro wrestling is a legitimate sport. I mean, not only uh, does it go along with every definition that I just read, obviously, I don't just go by that. I have my own opinions and beliefs. I just wanted to read those as far as what a sport is, but it really is. It's just a performance based sport, not necessarily a combat sport. And I think that's where the problem is. People think, oh, it's portraying itself as a combat sport, but it's really not. Therefore, it's fake. No, like, it's something else. Yes, it's presenting itself as a combat based sport, but it's actually a performance based sport. That's actually what it is. And people don't take the time to even think of that or think it through. Of course not. What would they? They never do about a million other things. Why are they going to do it about wrestling, right? Something they just don't get. I think it's for little kids or nerds or something. Which, yeah, those groups definitely enjoy it, but anyone can. Same is true with everything. Anyway, my point is pro wrestling is a sport. It's still real to me, damn it.